Hey Brave Nation, welcome back to another episode of BraveHawk Talk, the UNC Pembroke Athletics podcast. I'm your host, Slavin, Assistant Athletic Director for Marketing Partnerships, and we're so glad that you can join us on today's episode as we feature the Director of Academic Advising from the Center for Student Success, Mr. Mark Hunt, and our Scotland Healthcare Student Athlete of the Week from UNC Pembroke Women's Track and Field, Breze Ervin. So sit back, turn the volume up, and we hope you enjoy today's episode. Welcome back to BraveHawk Talk. I'm here with the Director of Academic Advising for the Center of Student Success here on UNC Pembroke's campus, Mr. Mark Hunt. Mark, thanks so much for joining us today. How's everything been going your way?
Thank you again. It's been going great. Been very busy, getting ready for our new students coming in and finishing up the semester. So it's been fairly busy, but going great.
And it's been a wild and wacky semester with everything going on, and that is no different here in athletics. And we actually finished out the year with our Golden Braves Awards as one last hurrah that was virtually hosted through our UNCP Sports Network YouTube page, still available for everybody that wants to go back and watch it.
Great.
And you were actually nominated and received the award of the Changing Lives Through Education Award as voted on by all the head coaches here in the department. And that's a tremendous honor. It shows all of the effort that you put in helping our student athletes. Can you talk a little bit more about your role and how you've impacted kind of athletics and making sure that our students and athletes stay successful in the classroom so that they can stay competitive in their respective arena?
Well, first off, thank you so much for the award. I think it's an honor. One of my greatest since being a staff member here at UNC Pembroke. But I'm a non-traditional learner, so I came up joining the military first, and then working odds and end jobs, and then realizing later that I needed to be educated to go where I needed to go, and realizing working full time and going to school is a bit of a challenge. And so, since I've been a staff member here, I've always had an affinity for our athletes who do have kind of a job, and it's their sport or their craft, as I like to say. So it kind of my heart kind of goes out to them and their challenges, having to practice in their games and having to study on top of that. So we've tried to lay out as much as we can to support our students, especially our athletes, again, because of those added responsibilities of representing our university, playing a sport that they love so much, while at the same time staying academically eligible within the school. And that's the job of our department, is to make sure that our students not only have the support they need to succeed, but also to thrive. So knowing what they go through and what they're responsible for, and again, how they represent us, it's an absolute honor to support our sports.
And in the Center for Student Success, y'all have become so much bigger than just academic advising, playing a lot of support roles and bringing really the entire experience to a point, coming in from their orientation sessions and then through their academic advising all the way through graduation. What are some of those services that you offer to students on campus, and just so that everybody tuning in kind of sees the added benefits of getting to work with individuals such as you and the rest of your team? I know that I've had the pleasure of working with Jennifer and Hillary and Ashley as well with some of our events on campus with American Indian Heritage Day and that type of thing. They were a huge help there. Talk a little bit about those services and just kind of really putting students forward in that we're in a higher education, and that what we do is for our student athletes and for our general student body.
Yeah, well, we like to say that we work with our students from the day they choose to become a part of the university, and we have the great honor of being involved with the students the day they end up on campus. So orientation is housed out of my department as well. So we get to work with students on their first days here on campus, and behind the scenes, we're actually building their course schedules. When they get here on campus, they get involved with us in the computer labs, choosing the classes that are relative to their major and some towards what they really, really like. And that's our first chance of actually getting an opportunity to meet with the students day one. Some of the students are actually fortunate enough to be able to take a course with us. So those same advisors that are helping them with the labs actually teach a particular class that our athletes usually do take, which is UNV 1100, which is Strategies for Success. It's a class to teach them college life skills that they may need to be successful. We also have a program, peer advising, where we take students that are currently enrolled students, upperclassmen, usually sophomores, juniors, seniors, that again turn around and help us advise the same students on campus. We also become their academic advisors according to their majors. So all the students are split up according to their major, and then that advisor works with them again from that orientation. They'll meet during a special session during that orientation, and then they'll have that advisor's contact, and that advisor will work through them from then until they're actually ready to transition into the department, which is really close to their sophomore hour. So when a student becomes a sophomore, they actually transition to the department. So they've got us all the way up until that point and actually beyond if they need us past that. We're available for advising by walk-in if needed. You can call for an appointment, but you can also walk in. But one of my favorite points, and the point I'd like to highlight, is that every staff member within the Center for Student Success actually sits in a position called our team rep for each sport. So every sport within the athletics department has an advisor or an athletic advisor that'll help them through their academic difficulties or struggles or questions or whatever things they may need academically. There is a rep within the department that supports each individual sport. And one of my favorites, and something that I take very, 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 very personally, I take a lot of pride in the fact that we have someone that they can actually go and talk to. We also have a mentoring program. Now, it's not really an official mentoring program, but if they need someone or someone needs a big brother, big sister, we don't mind jumping in and doing those types of things to make sure that our students stay connected and they know the resources that are available for them. We also have tutoring. We've got a program called SOAR, which is kind of a program that will coach students socially and academically throughout the semester by giving them workshops or teaching them study skills, social skills, and all those things. And we also have academic success workshops where we teach them things like advising and registration, how to nail down presentations, to avoid study stress and test stress, self-care, and catching up on their sleep. It's basically self-help workshops throughout the semester. We also have a study hall and free tutoring, which is another highlight. We try to tutor many of the general education courses that we know students historically struggle with, some major courses as well. But the beauty of that program, the tutoring program as well, is that it's completely online. And we're growing our online module within our own department so that as our athletes do travel or they're abroad or may not have the time to sit in a classroom or in a dorm where they may be on a bus traveling to another game, they can actually pull up our website, find a course that they're struggling with, and pull up our tutoring session live or online modules or actually connect with an online tutor. So we do have a lot of sources available for our students, and we're very proud to be able to offer those to them.
And it's just incredible how long that list, and it just keeps going, all the things that you've done, and specifically, like you were mentioning, the one-on-one attention that our athletes and programs get thanks to your guidance and help has been huge. And you mentioned that moving into the virtual and how big that is for athletes already, and now for the rest of the university as well with COVID-19.
Yes.
What does the advising process look like now, and specifically, how are you guys handling the virtual elements of advising with everybody essentially being off campus right now?
That's a great question. We actually do work with our online and distance ed students as well. So really it's just a copycat of what we do for them. So if it's either WebEx or if a student doesn't have those capabilities, what I like to do with my students is I'll pull up their degree plan, which is a path of the classes that they need to take every semester. I'll highlight the classes on that sheet that they've taken, highlight the classes that they've gotten credit for, that they're currently enrolled in, and also in a different color, I'll highlight the courses that I recommend that they take. I'll email that to them, and then I'll get on the telephone with them, or if it's a WebEx, we'll go face to face, and I'll go through that list course by course, explaining what's on there and what the recommendations are, and then kind of getting what their interests are. If I recommend a fine art and they want to take a history instead, then we can talk about that and make changes to those recommendations. So virtually, it really hasn't changed a whole lot other than sitting face to face. We are able to continue our advising services as is. Students are able to contact us through phone and email as well. So for us, again, it's just like our online module. We kind of copycat what we do for those students as well, knowing that although you can't see face to face, we can still offer them a viable service that we think will help them academically.
I think that's great, and it just shows how dynamic that you've made the Center for Student Success. And to help out with that, I mean, the highlighting is something that I did as a student when I was going through my own schedule here, developing what my path and program and figuring out that I could have a dual concentration while I was here in the School of Business. What are things that students that are currently already here, what are some things that they should be doing right now to assist in that process so that it's not just relying on an academic advisor to help them? What are some things or tools that they can use to really help them be successful while they're here and kind of take some ownership of their own career without the full guidance of Center for Student Success, unless of course they need it, which of course as we've talked about, you guys are 100% there for them when that's needed.
You said it. Take ownership. When I meet with my students, my goal at the point when they're ready to transition into the department is that I teach them how to literally advise themselves. I was fortunate enough to have undergraduate advisors when I was studying here in 2002 that did just what you said. They taught me how to take ownership of my degree, understand what courses I needed to take, and would rather give them recommendations versus my advisor telling me what I need to take. So one of my advisors here on campus, and he's currently a faculty member, Dr. Leon Jernigan, when he became my major advisor, my first advising meeting with him was literally, so what do you want to take? And I'm like, aren't you supposed to tell me? He's like, no, I can, but I may recommend a botany when you may be interested in ornithology. And you'll most likely do better in classes that you're interested in. So what he did for me that first session, he helped me walk through it to understand it. But my next advising session, he expected me to tell him what I wanted to take. And then he would make sure that I was going along the same path that I needed to graduate. And that's where I'm at with my students. I want to teach them how to be able to look across their general checklist, to look across their degree plan, and see what courses are needed so that they can prepare. And what I usually do for my students in the off season, especially those that are taking classes that are probably the next level up. So I'll give you an example, my computer science students. Over the summer or over the breaks, I'll ask them to go on YouTube or go on some tutoring websites and preview the material before they actually start taking the class the next semester, so it's not quite a shock and they actually get introduced to the material. And if they discover any problems, I ask them to call me. Let's talk through it and see if we can find a solution. So basically, just like the degree will do when they eventually hit society once they graduate, the goal is to empower them, if nothing else, but with their own knowledge of what it takes to graduate and be successful.
I think that's a key tip for all of our students and everybody listening in to continually learn. And I saw this on the end of your email tags that you have this quote: anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 8. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. The greatest thing in life to keep your mind young is learning, and by Henry Ford. And that goes along with this, having the ability the resource we have now with all the technology with YouTube and the tutoring services that you guys offer, to be able to actually peek into classes and course loads and coursework before the class even starts. I mean, that's a huge tip for our students right now that I encourage everyone to look into. Definitely something that I wish I did on a few of those accounting classes that I had to take, but definitely a great tip, and thank you for that, Mark. We always end every interview with a fun question, thought-provoking question. Mm-hmm. You can take as much time as you need to answer it, but we're going to go ahead and give it to you so that you can start thinking about it. What is something someone said that forever changed your way of thinking?
That's easy. My first supervisor, which would have been my mom, she was always good at giving advice, but my first professional supervisor was Chief Master Sergeant Willie McIntyre. When I was stationed at Charleston, my very first permanent base, we were going through changes, and the problem at that particular time is that the Air Force was downsizing, and we knew that with downsizing, the job didn't change. You still had the same amount of work to put out, but with less people, you had to be a little smart. And I remember him coming and telling me that you're at your first permanent base, that you're going to have a lot of freedoms here. You're going to have a lot of responsibilities as well. As a young man, 19 years old, you're going to be actually coordinating an office for the federal government. And he said, you're going to be hit with a lot of different tasks, and you can work them any way you choose. He said, but my advice to you, being a 30-year veteran, is to work smarter, not harder. Use your mind to solve problems. You can get the job done. And he says, I really do care kind of how you do it, but I prefer you use your brain to work. And that really, that stung me as a young professional, as a young adult, still not grown up, still learning a lot about life. That advice has stayed with me for quite a few years, and I try to live by that. If you face life and take problems as they are, then who knows? It may take you a short time to get things done, a long time. But if you try to shorten the process or figure a better way out, it can certainly make your day go a whole lot better and simplify a lot of the processes. So that's probably the greatest advice I think I've received from a professional in a professional environment. Work smarter.
And it just goes along with that continual power of learning that knowledge truly is power.
Yeah,
and
it is.
Mark, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today. We look forward to seeing you at games in the near future, and with some of our military appreciation nights coming up, we'll definitely have to make sure we get you to a couple of those this year as well, and recruit your help with a couple of those things. But Mark, I really appreciate it. Thanks for all that you and your team do at the Center for Student Success to help and support our athletes and UNC Pembroke athletics as a whole. Congratulations again on the Changing Lives Through Education Award. We really appreciate all of your assistance, and thanks again for joining us today on BraveHawk Talk.
Thank you for the honor. It's an absolute pleasure to work with your teams, your departments, your leadership. You guys are always pushing us to provide, and we're thankful for the opportunity. If our students are not successful, neither are we. So we're grateful. Thank you.
Thanks again to Mark Hunt for joining us on today's episode of BraveHawk Talk, and a special thank you to him and all of our veterans and all of our current soldiers who continue to serve on this Memorial Day. If you're looking for a way to beat the heat and the perfect drink for your Memorial Day barbecue, make sure to grab a Pepsi, the official drink of UNC Pembroke Athletics. Our next guest is from UNC Pembroke Women's Track and Field, our Scotland Healthcare Student Athlete of the Week, Breze Ervin. We're back with our Scotland Healthcare Student Athlete of the Week, Breze Ervin. Breze, you're back at home in Raleigh. How are things going for you?
Hey, everything's been pretty good. I just, I'm trying to keep my life as normal as possible. So, yeah, that's about it.
And normalcy is rare these days, and so take us through what a normal quote-unquote day looks like for Breze during these crazy times.
Well, for me, I've been kind of waking up around 11, 12-ish, at the latest 12. And started my day. So, I eat breakfast, and then after that, I try to, let my food settle, and then do my workouts that my coach sends out every week. So I do one of those, and then I kind of go about my day depending on what's happening. Yeah.
And I think everybody's sleep schedule is super crazy and not in tune to what it normally is, but the sleep is, I'm sure, very appreciated. I'm sure a lot of your fellow athletes are in the same boat, which makes a lot of working professionals very jealous, but sleeping in, is very important to achieve athletic success. And I know there's some studies of proof of naps and how beneficial they are to student athletes as well. So I'm sure at least you're getting your sleep now. You'll be nice and prepared for when season returns and when everybody gets to return. Hopefully, fingers crossed, in early August. The university just announcing that yesterday or 2 days before that academics will return in early August. In what capacity, we're still waiting to see. But Breze, you had an incredible first year, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But before we get into that, we want to talk about, where it all began, how you got into the field events for track and field as you compete in long jump, triple jump, and in high school, high jump. You have the record at Heritage High School in Raleigh for all three of those.
Yeah.
How did you kind of get into it, and how did you realize that you were going to be good at it, and what kind of pushed you in that direction?
Well, believe it or not, it all really started in middle school, and I tried out for track because one of my PE coaches saw that I was fast in the shuttle line. So I tried out, and I initially tried out for a long jump, and then the coach directly sent me to high jump, and ever since then it's been kind of like history. So in high school, I was really a high jumper at first. That was my main field event. That was my favorite. And then I kind of transferred to triple jump, which is kind of different. in a lot of field events, because most of the time you started with long jump then triple jump, so that was different for me. And I really didn't start long jump until my senior year of high school. So, yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, you're really still kind of learning this then and learning technique and getting better. And yet, school records at Heritage High School, natural born ability, we'll go ahead and call it. And then some impressive finishes this year alone, including third place finishes in the triple jump and the long jump for the Mountain East Conference Indoor Championships, where you accumulated with those alone 7% of the team's total points for the championship, the first ever in track and field, women's track and field history. What was it like as a freshman to be a part of a championship program, and is that kind of your expectation now for you and your teammates for every year moving forward?
Absolutely. Now, I was really shocked, really, because I have a hard time really seeing my potential, and my coach really kind of pushed it and instilled it in me that I can achieve anything, really. So I was extremely shocked, but I knew coming in we had a really, really, really good chance of winning just by our kind of marks alone, and then we just outperformed everything, and we even over-exceeded our points that we were predicted to make. So that was so great. That was so great. A beautiful experience. I'm so excited.
And those 2 third-place finishes, every athlete sets goals. You set your team goals, your individual goals at the beginning of each season. What were your goals for the season as a freshman coming in? Did you accomplish those goals, and what are your goals for next year?
I shot really high. That's just kind of like what I like to do. I had a goal to jump 40 feet in triple jump, and I think it was like 18, for a long jump. And I didn't get to make them because, we had a short season. But the fact that I was even able to PR was just amazing, because I've been having like a little block in high school. I haven't been able to really PR as much as I wanted to. But then like this season, I really kind of I feel like outdid myself in what I thought I could do. And that was great. And I did want to win conference. I remember that was one of my goals, is to win conference. And
we hope that you continue to win in the team as well. And with each, starting off as a freshman in a conference championship and reaching the podium already, it's definitely a name that we hope is going to be remembered in Pembroke, and such a cool name it is, with your first name being Breze. Where does Breze come from, and how did your parents decide on that? It's such a great sports name, regardless of what sport, track and field happens to be the one where you're competing in, but such a great sports name. Where does it stem from?
I really appreciate it. But it's kind of a funny story. My parents, they kind of thought I was going to be a boy at first, and they wanted to have a Z in my name to like represent the last child that they would ever have. I have 3 older siblings. So when I popped out, I kind of popped out pretty quick. It was a really quick birth, surprisingly. And I was a girl, so they chose the name Breze because I had like a Z in the name, and it was just a pretty name.
I think it's a fantastic name, and definitely one that we're hoping is going to be remembered for a while as you continue to grow and reach your success here at UNC Pembroke and beyond. Everybody talks about the indoor versus the outdoor season, and although we don't actually have an indoor facility, when you guys go and compete, you do get to compete in true indoor facilities for competition. Do you prefer an indoor versus an outdoor? Is there a preference for you?
I'm just gonna say outdoor. Well, I perform better outdoor, I believe, but indoor is just, indoor is always good because we don't really have any problems with like the weather. It's just universal good conditions. But I'm gonna say outdoor because the experience is way better for me. I always PR outdoor.
And we're sad that we didn't get to see your outdoor season this year, but we're definitely looking forward to it for years coming up. And so now with this, you're stuck in quarantine. You're still, well, not quarantine, but stay at home as we go through COVID-19. you're still looking to prepare. You're still looking to get better. You mentioned that you're doing some of the workouts. What are some other things that you're doing to prepare and to stay in shape and get ready for this upcoming year?
I've been really, really, really trying to eat clean. That's one of my main things that I think will be like a little thing to do, or a little thing to practice that I know will just be great in the long run. So I've been trying to do that. And I've also been trying to do abs. I remember my coach in high school, Coach Todd, she would always say, like, our core is like our core strength. So I've been trying to work up and build up my abs a little more during our stay-at-home. And, yeah.
I'm in the same boat, Breze. I've been trying to eat a little bit cleaner as we haven't been as active without sporting events. We're normally running around from event to event, and so definitely trying to do some of those things and get up in the morning and work out just like you guys are to stay in shape and stay prepared for next season so we're not dragging when everything gets going. But, Breze, we end every interview with a fun and thought-provoking question, some of them harder than others. You can take as much time as you need to think about your answer, and whenever you're ready, go ahead and hit us with it, and we'll all be anxious to hear what you have to say. But I'll go ahead and give you your question so you can go ahead and start thinking about it, okay?
Okay.
All right, here's your question. What is something you have always wanted to do, but you were worried about doing it for fear of people judging you for it?
Ooh. Oh, I have this already. I really, really, really one day just like want to experience having like no hair. I want to shave my head.
Okay.
I know it's really different, but I just want to experience it one day in my life. But I like my hair right now, and I don't think it's a look for me, especially like in today's society. But then I don't really care that much. But I'm gonna keep my hair. But that's just one thing I really want to experience.
I think that's such a cool and different experience, and obviously something a lot of people have to experience not by choice. So something to do that by choice would definitely be a unique experience and memorable experience. And you never know, you may like it, but like you said, if you like your hair right now, we're definitely not going to encourage you to cut it all off at the current moment, as I know that some haircuts are getting extremely crazy with at-home haircuts during the stay-at-home order. I myself have not gotten a haircut, so I'm looking very shaggy during this current phase. So ready for barbershops to open back up. But Breze, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today on BraveHawk Talk, our Scotland Healthcare Student Athlete of the Week from Women's Track and Field and the Mountain East Conference champion, Breze Ervin. Thank you again so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this experience.
Thanks again to Breze Ervin, our Scotland Healthcare Student Athlete of the Week from Women's Track and Field, and also a special thanks to Director of Academic Advising from the Center for Student Success, Mark Hunt. Thank you everyone for joining us on today's episode of BraveHawk Talk, the UNC Pembroke Athletics podcast. Again, a special thanks to all of our service members who continue to serve and all of those who've given their lives as we recognize and remember them on this Memorial Day. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page to catch all the episodes of BraveHawk Talk. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on all social media platforms at UNCP_sports. Again, that's at UNCP_sports on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok as well. Continue to stay safe, Brave Nation, and we look forward to speaking with you next time on the next episode of BraveHawk Talk.